So hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Candace. I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing good. So thank you so much for meeting with us today. I know I gave you a little bit of background, but every single quarter we choose a charity that we're able to support, and this quarter is going to be Willow Domestic Violence. So we're so excited. And kind of like we talked about before, we're going to use this opportunity to make it a little bit of an educational avenue for people to learn more about what you guys do, and if someone is in a hard situation, what they can do. So let's dive right into it. And first and foremost, I want to ask you, what is your mission and how could someone reach you guys?
Well, thank you again for having us. This is really important. I actually want to really recognize the Property Girls team for asking us to be here and being your charity. That's really important to even recognize that this is an issue in our community and to want to talk about it. That's a big step forward. So thank you.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Our mission at Willow is to prevent domestic violence, so to stop this from happening and breaking the cycle, but also to ensure that every survivor who is going through this has access to services and the supports that they need along their journey, and give them the skills and tools to empower them to live a safe and healthy life.
Yeah.
And if you need to get in touch with us, we have a hotline. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is 585-222-SAFE. That's 7233. And we also have a text line. So if you can't call or don't want to call, the text line phone number is 585-348-SAFE, 7233.
I also want to talk about, I know you guys have so many, but what is like a brief snapshot of all the programs that you guys offer? I know that might be difficult for you, but.
Well, we're doing a lot of things at Willow. The services that we're trying to provide for survivors and their support systems in the community, we're trying to make those as comprehensive as possible so that no matter where somebody is in their journey, they have something that's available to them. So we have that 24-hour hotline. That's for anybody to call. Okay. Yes, it's meant to be a crisis hotline, but if you're supporting somebody and you need some help or some resources or some tips, call us. We're going to talk to you. If you're a provider and you're working with a patient or a client and you're thinking, I don't know what to do, or did I do the right thing? Call us. We'll talk to you. So the hotline is really, our gateway to all of our services. We also do have emergency shelter. We house everybody, men, women, and children. So that's a service that is available. We have counselors who are available. You don't need to be staying in shelter to access our counseling services. We have a court advocacy program as well. We have advocates who are right downtown at the Hall of Justice, in family court, in civil court, who can help survivors walk through the order of protection process if they're considering that order of protection or a restraining order. We do human trafficking. We work on sex trafficking and labor trafficking here in Monroe County. And we also do this, education.
Right.
We're out in the community,
obviously.
Yeah, we're talking about this all the time with anybody who wants to hear about it. And what I'll say about all of our services, everything is free. Everything that we do is free at no cost to anybody who is contacting us, and is confidential.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. And like I had said before, we do want to make this really what it is, make it an educational opportunity for people. So can you tell us exactly what abusive behavior is?
Absolutely. So when we think about abusive relationships, most people think about physical abuse and physical behavior. It's, the broken bones and black eyes. And that is a part of the spectrum of abusive behavior, absolutely. But what is also on the spectrum of abusive behavior is verbal abuse. It's name calling, it's put downs, it's the harsh tone of voice, it's emotional abuse, it's shaming and blaming people, it's gaslighting, it's threatening behavior. So even if there is not a threat that's carried out, or even if a threat isn't physical, it doesn't not make it a threat. So that's important to recognize that all of that is on the spectrum of behavior too. In financial abuse, almost every abusive relationship includes some kind of financial abuse, 99% of abusive relationships. And that can be that one person is holding the money, or it could be maybe I'm the survivor and I have the money, but my abuser is guilting me into the money, right? Like, you have to stay with me, because if you don't stay with me, then I won't have finances, or I won't have the health insurance, and then something terrible will happen to me and it'll be your fault. Now, that's never a survivor's fault, but that's what it feels like. So we have to know that the spectrum of abuse is much, much broader than physical abuse. And typically most of those things are happening in a relationship before we see physical abuse happen. So when we're seeing those signs, we need to know that the danger level has increased.
Right. And that kind of covers a little bit of the scope of what domestic violence is. What would you say, I mean, that's part of it, but what is the full scope of domestic violence? Who is actually an abuser and a survivor? We kind of talked about before, it's not just the creepy guy in the bushes. It looks like so many different things. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's not the creepy guy in the bushes. Right. I mean, it might be, right?
Right.
It might be.
Yeah.
But usually that creepy guy in the bushes is your current or former intimate partner. That's sort of a misnomer, especially around stalking, actually, that it's a stranger. That's usually almost never the case. 85% of people who are stalked is somebody that they know and probably have had a relationship with. So the scope of domestic violence is really big. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That is a huge number to conceptualize in our head. What we also know about this is that a survivor can be anybody. This is an issue that doesn't have any boundaries. It doesn't have a zip code. It doesn't have a face that looks like this. It doesn't have, a specific gender. It doesn't have an age. This is something that crosses everybody. Right. Now, what's important to know about that is there are certainly risk factors in there too. We know that LGBTQ plus folks experience higher rates of intimate partner violence. We know that women of color specifically experience highest rates of intimate partner violence and have a higher risk of death at the hands of their current or former partner. So we can't ignore that kind of stuff. But what we do know is this is in every zip code. And the thing about it being in every zip code is that abusers are there too. Yeah. So abusers are beautiful, gorgeous people that we all want to date. We want them in our family. They're likable. They're charming to everybody else, but the person that they're with or their family member that they're choosing to abuse. Right. So we have to break that mold of who a survivor is and who an abuser is, because truthfully, it can be anybody on both ends.
Right. And that's so important, I think, for us to cover too, and kind of talk more just about, it's not like we had just said, it's not that creepy guy in the bushes. It could be, but there are so many other faces of an abuser and a survivor. So thank you for going through that with us. One of the things that we had talked about that you said that everyone really wants to know is, why do people stay in these relationships? I know I've heard it before of, why would someone stay in that situation? And what do you see in your experience the reasoning is?
Well, I'm a visual person and I love analogies. So I'm actually going to give you two different analogies here to help think about this in a little bit of a different way. So abusive behavior doesn't typically just start out immediately, right? If you go on a first date with somebody and they slap you across the face, you're not going to say, let's do that tomorrow night. That's not a thing. It's like, here's the analogy. It's like a frog in a pot. If you boil a pot of water and you throw the frog in the pot, the frog's out of there. It's not staying in the pot. Yeah. If you put a frog in a pot of water and you slowly turn up the heat, the frog doesn't notice how hot it is until it's too late. And then the frog thinks, oh my God, how did I get here? I'm stuck. I'm in danger. Who is going to help me? And that is how survivors get into these relationships as well, because it starts fine and beautiful and loving because abusers are beautiful, gorgeous people. And then they slowly turn up the heat with the verbal abuse and the emotional abuse and the gaslighting until a survivor is stuck. And there are many, many real barriers that survivors get stuck in. Yeah. And it's not easy to leave because we started in a place of goodness and it's hard to turn that goodness off. And we don't turn our love. We don't turn our love on and off like a light switch. That's not how it works. If I want to stop loving this person, I may really, really want to, but I can't just go like that and have that happen. It's almost, here's my second analogy. Okay. It's like starting a new habit. If you've ever tried to be on a diet or eat better or go to the gym, something in that zone, you probably were not successful on the first try at doing that if you've ever been successful. And I'm talking about not eating cheeseburgers anymore, right? Right. I'm not talking about cutting somebody who I love out of my life. Yeah. And that's why it is hard to just flick that switch and go. And that's why people go back and forth too. As many times as you went back and ate a cheeseburger, it's the same feeling and the same reasoning. It takes a very long time to change those habits. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And thank you for that. And I know all of this is a very brief snapshot of everything. It's kind of like a real quick kind of situation and scenario, but if someone does want to learn more, if someone wants to dive deeper into this, what is a way that they can do that? And if someone wants to help Willow and someone wants to join your guys' mission, what should they do?
Absolutely. So if you want to learn more about Willow or just more about domestic violence, you can absolutely do some research on your own, or you can trust us to do the research and then teach you. So this is a free service. You can contact me directly. You can go on our website and book us. We do training and teaching and panels and Ask Me Anything forums all the time. We're happy to do this for whoever needs to do it. So feel free to book us.
And like you said, you've already done the research. So
we're already in it. We got it.
Right.
Right, absolutely. If you want to be helpful, there are some things that you definitely can do. First, share our stuff. Share our stuff on social media. Just simply sharing our website, our phone numbers, our hotline, our text line can be a lifeline you didn't know that somebody needed. Many times in an abusive relationship, an abuser is monitoring somebody's electronic stuff, right? So if I'm texting somebody or if I'm making phone calls or I'm visiting a website, my abuser is going to see that. So I don't have access to that information. But if I'm scrolling through Candace's Instagram and I see Willow's stuff on there, I know that that's there and safe for me when I need it, so that I can make that call or that text when I'm ready. So even just sharing that information makes you a safe person, and it gives somebody access to that information that they may not have had or be able to access on their own.
And how easy is it? I mean, we share things all the time on Facebook, on Instagram, reposting, sharing to our stories and everything like that. So to be able to share something that really could help someone and save their lives is I feel like that's a really easy way to do it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
We also accept donations. We're always looking to stock our shelves with non-perishable stuff. We accept in-kind donations too. Right now, we don't have any in-person volunteer opportunities because of COVID, but we're always looking for people to sort of be our champions and to share stuff and just spread the message.
Right.
The last thing I would tell people, if you really want to do something to help, believe people. When you see the story in the news, when a friend tells you something is happening, even when you think, no way, it can't be that person, take a moment and believe them.
Oh, you just gave me chills. It's so true.
We know that belief is sometimes all a survivor needs to empower them to take a step towards safety. They have already met so many barriers, and likely many people who haven't believed them in the past, that simply saying, I believe you and I'm sorry this is happening to you. What can I do for you? What do you need? You tell me. That can make all the difference in somebody's life.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us more about what your mission is, what you guys do, avenues that people can reach out to get help, to help someone else. And your mission is so close to my heart. So thank you. And everyone that's watching this, if you want to get involved more, just reach out to us, reach out to Willow, and we're going to try and do as much as we can to help this mission. So thank you.
Thank you very much.